Hi everybody, Stuff and Things here. As we get started, I wanted to thank my Instagram followers. I put a little poll out to decide what we were going to do today, and it was between banks and hips or more mani pad stuff, but the vote was so equal that I was like, well, I guess we have to do both. And so I'm starting things out on the bank, doing some things that I've done before. Frontside 180 is kind of my go-to when I do a bank trick. I love that Fakie 360 pivot. It's just fun. And then some ollies, one from Fakie and then one to Fakie. And then we're going for a backside 180. These are a little harder. I'm not as good at them. I don't usually get the full rotation. Then it's time for a battle with the pop shove it. Pop shove it on the bank is a really weird trick for me. Sometimes I get it in 1 or 2 tries and it just happens. And sometimes it's like this, where I have a pretty big battle. And usually at least once per session, I've got to knock over my camera. But finally I got one that I liked. A little stutter there at the end, but pretty good. Then it's time for frontside shove it. Now I've never done this on a bank before, so this was something I was like, okay, this is gonna be new. I kind of expected a battle, but actually it only took, I think if I counted right, 6 tries to get one that was pretty good. So new trick count, we're at 1. And now we're gonna try to do some tricks on this hip. I am not good at hips. So just warmed up with an ollie, and now I'm going to backside 180 because I think for me that's the next easiest trick on a hip. And this one was a little bit of a battle, but I kind of liked it. I got more comfortable with the idea of turning my back to where I was going to land, and it started to feel a little more natural. I got a little more comfortable with it. And finally, I get one that I'm a little more happy with, not too crazy or awkward. Then it's time for frontside 180. Frontside 180 on the direction that I'm going on this hip is a lot harder. I've got to rotate more, and it's actually more scary to land going the direction I'm going, but there we go, we got one. Then I decided I've got to get something new. I've never tried anything fakey on a hip, and I thought half cab on the direction that I'm going feels pretty natural. I had a pretty big toe drag there, so I was going to get a better one. And there we go, one that was pretty solid. New trick situation, we're at 2. Then I'm not counting this as a new trick thing, but I wanted to work on nollies. I'm really bad at them. I almost never spend time on them, but it's a tool that I feel like I need since I like nose manuals and crooked grinds and things like that. So I was working on my nollies. That was just an ollie for comparison there. Now, the other thing from my Instagram poll that I said I was going to do was try to do things up on this mani pad. It's a nice, short, little mani pad. It's a perfect place for me to try to learn some new things. But here I land on that waxy section. You can't see the impact, but I whacked my arm pretty good. Even though I'm wearing my elbow pads, I keep landing on the same place on my arm. Now I realized that side of the mani pad has got a lot of wax on it. So let's approach this mani pad from the other side that doesn't have quite so much wax. And it's always weird when I take a trick that I feel like I'm decent at and that I can do pretty well. Frontside 180 is kind of a go-to for me, but then doing it in a different situation felt really strange. But finally, I roll away from one a little better. I'm about to come off the side of the mani pad, so I had to pivot back around. And then I don't know if you remember from our last video, I couldn't get a regular manual. Well, within 3 tries, I got a regular manual across the mani pad, and I was kind of like, well, that's weird. And I feel like that's something that happens to me a lot, and coming up is a pretty good example. Last time I learned this nose manual with a nollie front shove out, and that was kind of a weird fall right now. Let's pay attention for just a second. Keep an eye on this ugly crack with the big hole in it. Well, there we go. I land in this hole and I go flying twice, not just once. But at this skate park, the Granby skate park, they redid this skate park last November. It's all concrete now, which is good. But the old skate park was modular, movable ramps, and they had this old concrete pad, and they didn't replace it. They just left it, and it's all cracked, and it's got little pockets and holes here. I wish that there's something we could do about that, but I'm at the mercy of the town, I guess. So here's the next new trick challenge, Fakie frontside 180. I like this trick on flat. I'm usually pretty comfortable with it, but going into the curb felt really weird. My first couple of run-ups were just kind of silly. But I quickly realized I had to not worry about the curb. I kept thinking that there is no curb. And when I really could focus on just doing the trick like I always do and pretending that there was no curb there, just basically popping at the right time, then I got a lot closer. And here I finally get one. It's a little bit squirrely, so we're going to persist just a little bit more and get one that's pretty solid. Roll all the way across, ollie off just a little bit. And so I got that trick, so now let's try it the other way. Let's do a half cab. Half cab also felt very awkward to start. I didn't know when to pop. I found that I had to pop a lot earlier than I thought I needed to, but eventually we started getting up there, and actually half cab became where I got a little bit more comfortable as the day went on. So we're gonna call that new trick number 5. And I'm going to keep going at these a little bit because then I was feeling so good right there. I started thinking about doing something off, not just an ollie. So we're looking for something beyond a half cab. And I'm sure you can tell right there I had my weight forward and I was like, ooh, maybe nose manual. So one of these days, I'm sure I'm going to spend some time with one of these Fakie 180s and trying to get into some form of manual to get across this mani pad. But that'll be another time, another session. It also took my brain a little bit of adjusting to be like, okay, I did my first trick up the mani pad. Now I want to do something off, and I ended up trying just a pop shove it because I could get my feet in that position, and that's a trick that I like and I'm generally comfortable with. Maybe someday I'll try something else off the mani pad, but here we finally are with a half cab up and a pop shove it down. And I was so excited because this is my first time really linking some tricks and getting a combo. And I was feeling so good that I was like, you know what, before I quit this session, I gotta land a kickflip. Because I hadn't done one in weeks and I wanted to use that positive energy, and I was like, all right, we got one of those too. So as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome combo!